What you listening to, son?
Dr. Oz is without opponents, and thus has won his primary not so long ago. Let's see David Pakman's take on that.
Well, we've finally gotten the results. Mehmet Oz, the television doctor running in the Republican primary in Pennsylvania, has won that Republican primary and will face the Democratic primary winner, John Fetterman. Dave McCormick, the candidate with whom Oz was in a virtual tie, has conceded. NPR can now report Dr. Oz wins the Senate primary in Pennsylvania after McCormick concedes. Republican Dave McCormick conceded Friday to celebrity Dr. Mehmet Oz in Pennsylvania's Senate primary as the state conducted a recount of the May 17 election. According to the AP, Oz led McCormick by 972 votes. Final results were expected early next week. In remarks to supporters on Friday, McCormick said he could not make up the deficit in the recount. Today, I called Mehmet Oz to congratulate him on his victory, said McCormick, and I told him what I always told you. I will do my part to try to unite Republicans and Pennsylvanians behind his candidacy, behind his nomination for Senate.
Good luck.
Of course,
on that.
Oz was endorsed by Trump. Oz tweeted, "I received a gracious phone call from David McCormick and am tremendously grateful for his pledge of support in the fall election. We share the goal of a brighter future for Pennsylvania and America." Also relevant, and as a reminder, we've covered this, Fetterman is recovering from a stroke he suffered days before the primary, needed to undergo a pacemaker implant procedure, has since not returned to the campaign trail, and has only done video appearances since. David Brody from Real America's Voice, he tweeted as a result of this concession by Dave McCormick, "All hail the all-powerful Trump." Not sure I would be going with the Hail Trump stuff myself. Last time I saw Hail Trump, it was Richard Spencer at a white nationalist meeting.
Yeah, doesn't that have like a angle, something like that? This isn't a really a great angle to have. This is pretty good. It's a little bit cringe, a little too straight.
Doing the Hitler salute and saying Hail Trump, with people in the crowd doing the same thing. In terms of the eventual general election race, there's really no good polling yet in terms of Oz versus Fetterman. Pennsylvania Senate, Oz versus Fetterman on Real Clear Politics. They have it merely as a toss-up right now. And in 2016, the Republican Pat Toomey won by 1.6. In 2010, the Republican Pat Toomey won by 2. This is an open seat now, an open seat. And we are going to be very strongly supporting John Fetterman. Now, this is an opportunity to have a very real conversation about the concentration of resources. And we dealt with this a little bit last week on the Friday mailbag. There are endless races in which any of us could invest time and or money. Now, you never count anybody out. You want to support good candidates. But we also sometimes have to make hard choices when there are limited resources. And I'm just going to give you an example, and I'm not telling you what to do, but this is a real question.
Okay.
Marcus Flowers is the challenger to Marjorie Taylor Greene in the Georgia, I believe it's the 14th district that Greene is
2 days
running
ago.
in. That's an outrageously red district. Statistically, it's very unlikely that Marcus Flowers has a shot. But you could invest time and money in that race as a progressive. You also have Fetterman v. Oz in Pennsylvania. That race could quite literally decide who controls the Senate starting in January of 2023. So I never say count anyone out. I never say don't work on races that are important to you. But at a certain point, we also have to consider that with limited resources, which race is most likely to make a difference? An almost certainly unwinnable race against Marjorie Taylor Greene in the Georgia 14th, or the Fetterman versus Oz race in the Pennsylvania Senate? Well, I think that the facts tell us it's almost certainly the latter. So just something to keep in mind as we go forward here.
True shit. To be quite frank, I have no... I hope I'm not foolishly optimistic here, but I have no confidence that Oz is going to win at all. based on one ad.
My father taught me how to handle my first gun. I taught my son Oliver how to do the same. I've been shooting and hunting my whole life. So when people say I won't support guns, they're dead wrong. Boom! Other conservatives know that I'm strong on the Second Amendment. Ted Nugent, Rick Perry, President Trump. But our Second Amendment is not just about hunting. It's about our constitutional right to protect ourselves from intruders or an overly intrusive
It's like
government.
a Tim and Eric
As the next
sketch,
US
dude.
Senator, I will fight for our constitutional rights.
It's so stupid, bro.
You good? People have been trying to label me my entire life. I do not look like a typical politician. I don't even look like a typical person.
John Fetterman knows Pennsylvania through and through. From York, played football in Reading, raising his family in Braddock, a steel town. He's looked different and been different his entire life. As mayor, Fetterman helped rebuild his town. As lieutenant governor, he reformed the office. Now the big guy is running for Senate to take on Washington.
This is a race for the future of every community across Pennsylvania. For every small town or person that's felt left behind. For every job left and factory closed. For every person that works hard but can't get ahead as costs keep rising. Those decisions were made for us by people that don't know us. And that's exactly who we're running against. Pennsylvania is our home, and it's worth fighting for. I'm John Fetterman, and I approve this message.
Okay.
Hold on, Mike. I need to clean up the cum from my pants. Holy shit. Oz should be shitting his pants right now. Justifiably so. Two completely different ads from two completely different people. Mind you, Oz, just like McCormick too, who conceded to Oz, is not a native Pennsylvanian. Neither one of them is a Pennsylvanian. Fetterman is, and has done quite a bit for Pennsylvania. Now, we've gone over his platform before. Not all of his policies are exactly what I would call favorable. Unfortunately, the dude is a little bit more pro-Israel than I like. Maybe if Israel was not a fucking fascistic apartheid state, maybe I wouldn't mind so much. The other thing, too, to consider is that people need someone that they can fucking relate to. It's been a trend for a while now. And this is apparent evidence of that trend still going and rising up the invisible graph here. That people want politicians that they can relate to instead of just saying there's some suit and tie. You know what I'm saying? You know, they don't want some business as usual schmuck in the Democratic Party. The old Democrats are dying off, as we know, and that's a good thing. Republicans, Jesus Christ. The closest they had to that, funny enough, was Trump. How did that work out for us? Not very well, now did it? So this is based, and very excited about it. Before we continue with the video, what did you say? Hang on a second, because you linked me this. What is this?
Myself.
What? What is this? The producer? I gotta fucking watch that shit. Oh, oh my god, that's hilarious.
Dr. Oz should be worried. That should horrify Dr. Oz. He should see that and shit himself. Because how do you, a celebrity, a rich person who's worth tens of millions of dollars, compete with that authenticity, with that blue-collar appeal, with that originality? I mean, John Fetterman is speaking about how he's different. You know, he's not like everyone else, but at the same time, even though he's unique and doesn't look like a politician, he shares the struggle, or shared the struggle of people in the state of Pennsylvania. I mean, this is an incredible ad. And I wish that more Democrats would do what John Fetterman is doing. But the problem is that a lot of them lack authenticity. A lot of them were kind of privileged and didn't have that experience. So that's why John Fetterman can relate with normal people. And what I am anticipating now is that Dr. Oz will try to copy John Fetterman. He's going to run a different campaign now. He'll make that general election pivot and pretend to be this anti-establishment, you know, normal blue-collar guy. But the problem is there is an authenticity gap between John Fetterman and Dr. Oz. John Fetterman seems like a normal human being, whereas Dr. Oz seems like a phony. I mean, you've all seen it by now, but take a look at one of the last ads that he ran in the GOP primary.
No, we can't do it again. We can't do it again. No. No. What the fuck? What?
How authentic. I mean, it feels like that's a parody ad.
That was an authentic shit that I just heard. Holy fuck. Did you yourself record that in the bathroom after some Taco Bell? That's the sound of a fart that was not just a fart. And it was 99% not gas. That was some liquid gordita crunch right there, if you ask me. What's sad is that apparently he is a skilled heart surgeon. He could have simply been known for saving people's lives. Instead, we got this. True. Kind of like it's like the Ben Carson effect, you know. Ben Carson could just not be known to be a dumb fuck, politically speaking. He could just be known as one of the most brilliant brain surgeons of all fucking time. You know, for basically, didn't he coin the conjoined twin, splitting them and they still live afterwards surgery? Like, come on, Ben. You could have been known for better reasons. Yeah, kind of like you mentioned earlier, Rondo. Unfortunately, a lot of the wine moms who remember him as a TV doctor, you know, is probably just going to remember him as that and just be, oh, the Dr. Oz. I remember I wanted to have an affair with him behind my husband's back if I ever got the chance. Wine.
And if I were a GOP voter, I would see that and be insulted because he's very clearly trying to pander to you. If you're a Republican in the state of Pennsylvania, you should feel insulted that he thinks you're that unintelligent. But maybe you are because you voted for him. So, I mean, it's just... How are you supposed to, you know, convince people that you care when you're a celebrity? You're as out of touch as you possibly can be in this country. Now, what makes John Fetterman's ad, I think, more powerful, or I should say what will make it more powerful, is where he's choosing to broadcast it. Because we all know that individuals like Sean Hannity, they're very invested in this race, being friends with Dr. Oz. He helped Dr. Oz win the GOP primary, and unquestionably, he will try to help Dr. Oz win the general election so he can become a senator. So they're going to be attacking John Fetterman relentlessly, comparing him to, you know, Bernie Sanders because he endorsed Bernie in 2016, calling him a crazy socialist. This is what Connor Lamb did against him in the Democratic Party primary. So the attacks will come from Fox News. So what is...
Yeah, real quick, any conservative who could potentially be hate watching right now, please read some fucking Marx and look up the definition of socialism before you end up inevitably falling for the dumb, low IQ, smooth brain propaganda of the far right news media saying pretty much anything that you guys don't like is socialism, because for fuck's sake, you don't know what socialism is. Holy fuck, it is so fucking annoying. The unearned confidence, like, oh yeah, that's socialism, that's socialism, that's socialism, these Marxists and commies, these communist fascists. By the way, you can't have both. That's literally impossible. You can't be a communist and a fascist. That doesn't exist. Well, Nosballs. I can't believe I'm gonna be the one to like say shit like that, because I hate motherfuckers that are like, read some theory, read some theory. read some fucking theory, bro, because you don't know dick. You don't know dick so much, you only know pubes. You're politically quite pubic.
Well, he's going to place this ad right on Fox News. As Catherine Fung of Newsweek explains, John Fetterman, Pennsylvania's Democratic Senate candidate and a well-known ally of Bernie Sanders, is turning to Fox News to appeal to voters in the upcoming general election, airing 2 of his first TV ads against Trump-backed GOP candidate Mehmet Oz on the conservative network. The Fetterman campaign purchased 2 spots on Fox News in the Pittsburgh, Scranton, and Johnson markets that will run from Tuesday through June 14th, according to Politico. A campaign spokesperson said Fetterman's team has spent $250,000 for the week-long ads, adding that we plan to re-up the bi-weekly as the GOP attacks keep coming. Other Democrats need to take note, because when you see that the attacks are going to come from Fox News, what you do is you buy ads during these shows that will inevitably be attacking you, and you debunk the myths that they're spreading. It's a brilliant strategy, and I get why some people might be against this, because it feels gross to give Fox News money, but folks, this is an election, and
true.
Washington, D.C. attacked towns like this for years. They wrote bad deals that sent away our jobs, approved the drugs that kill our kids. We need help. They just talk. Not John Fetterman. For 20 years, he's lived in a place like this. Building, pushing, fighting. He's running for Senate to do the same thing there. Good American jobs, higher wages for us. That's John.
This is John Fetterman, and I approve this message.
All right, so a similar ad to the first one in terms of tone, still very anti-establishment, still sort of separating himself from your typical politician. But this one was a little more specific on policy. $15 an hour minimum wage. And remember, this is a Fox News audience that this is initially being targeted toward. The vast majority of people, including a red state like Florida, supports higher wages.
Yep.
So having a unified message around incredibly popular policy is a winning strategy.
Yeah, and it's just like I said in the It Could Have Been Me video, the mass shooting segment. You know, people vote with their wallets, why not shoot your wallet? People vote with their wallet. People respond overwhelmingly so to economic policy. They might not exactly know that, but dude, if you get thrown in your face, candidate so-and-so doesn't want you to make more money. I do. I want to make more money. Yeah. I want to be able to pay my bills. Please? Yes, please? Please? And that's in the face of the whole bullshit talking point as well of like, oh, these liberals, these leftists, they just want a fucking handout from the government. It's not a handout. You're working for it, bitch. Shut the fuck up. Shut up. Shut up. You don't know what you're talking about because you've been brainwashed. And it's okay, I understand. We've all been there at some point. We've all been brainwashed by special interests that don't want you to have a better, higher quality of life. Study after study after study has concluded that poverty makes the rich richer. You being poorer ensures almost absolutely that the 1% becomes more enriched and have more resources than you do and has access to a kind of lifestyle that you just won't have. It's not going to happen. Get that through your skulls, conservatives. It's not going to happen. You're not going to climb up that corporate ladder. You're not going to climb up that autocratic hierarchy because autocracy is defined as a type of organization that is A, inherited, and or B, selected by a committee of previous times. You're not gonna get there unless you're a fucking sociopath. Unless you're cutthroat. Unless you look your best work buddy in the fucking eyes and say, fuck your kids, fuck your food pantries, fuck your fridge, and fuck your wife's, you and your wife's second honeymoon or whatever the fuck. Fuck your kids' college tuition. Fuck your kids' new PS4 or whatever the fuck. Anything. No, I want to make more money. You got to be cutthroat if you want to go up that fucking ladder. You got to sacrifice who you are deep down in order to be like the 1%. Do you really want to be like that? No? I would hope not. But that's how these people are. And they're privileged from the fucking start. People like Elon Musk, for example, they don't fucking get there on their own. He didn't. He got $300,000 from his fucking lithium mine father. And pretty much the same with Bezos. Like, he worked at McDonald's for a little bit, but he inherited some money from, like, some relatives or some shit, and then he started Amazon, the bookshop. Are you gonna inherit some money? Trump supporter? Are you going to? No. Stop with the bullshit. Stop with the delusions. Time for a reality check. You're not going anywhere. You're gonna stay poor, and you're gonna get more poor. You're gonna become poorer like the rest of us. Unless you get some fucking class consciousness and realize that we're both facing the same enemy, and they're called the bourgeois. $15 an hour as a minimum wage is not even that suitable. But for fuck's sake, is anybody going to deny a McDonald's worker, for example, who, by the way, probably fed your bratty ass, snot-nosed, loud as fuck kids in the back of your soccer mom van plenty of fucking times when you didn't feel like cooking dinner that night. You just wanted them to shut the fuck up. No, I didn't get you that toy. Don't make me turn this car around. Everybody deserves a fucking decent standard of living. Everybody wants $15 an hour as a minimum wage. Some of us more than that. As a matter of fact, even economists. You look at the trajectory of our economy as of the past few decades, and you look at the rate of inflation, you look at the rate of productivity in this country, and you see that in a study in 2018, $6 an hour in 1980 in 2018 had the same purchasing power as $18 and some odd cents an hour. But the minimum wage is $7.25 still nationwide. There's a fucking problem with that. The math doesn't add up. Quit voting Republican, bro. They don't care about you. Get some class consciousness. It's a good idea that Fetterman is going to be running these ads on Fox of all places. It's definitely not by the playbook any, especially corporate Democrat, capitalist Democrat would ever consider doing.
Now, I hope he also does the same thing with cannabis legalization. Fetterman is a massive supporter of legalizing cannabis and has utilized that heavily in previous ads. I haven't seen that yet in these first two ads, but I hope he continues pushing it because, again, this is an issue where Democratic politicians typically shy away from, even if they do support it, but they, in terms of ads, they will not, put it in their ads. But doing something bold like that, and not even, the thing is, it's not even bold because of how popular cannabis legalization is or raising wages are. Because they are so popular, naming these very popular policies in your ads, while that may seem bold because no one else is doing it, it is in fact just normal good politics, because it would be a successful strategy naming things that are popular. Who thought? But also mentioned there, no corporate PACs. Again, another message that I think helps to resonate and separate him from
Grassroots
other
is the way to
candidates.
go, man.
He is not for massive corporations. And you notice in both of these ads, there is no specific mention of Dr. Oz. And I think, I mean, clearly that's intentional at this point. But I don't think they have to really mention him.
No.
Fetterman stands
implied.
on his own. He doesn't really have to put himself next to Oz. And, you know, if he does in an ad, I think it'd be even more clear how different these two people are. But because Fetterman is just very different, you know, visually, in addition to, of course, his platform, what he's fought for, where he's actually from, actually being from the state, unlike Dr. Oz, it helps to, even not naming him, he is already separating himself just based on how he is running and the kind of candidate that he is. And the media, of course, in Pennsylvania, will be comparing these two, so there is no real need for him to bring up Dr. Oz. And Oz already being a household name, I don't know, you almost don't want to add to the discussion around Oz. He used to be for universal health care. Now, of course, as a Republican, he's not. He used to be for a woman's right to choose. Now he's not. He used to be for gun reform. Now he's not. So you could, as a voter, you could potentially take that two different ways. So as a conservative, you can look at that and think, oh, Dr. Oz has changed. He is now a MAGA, a Trump guy just like me. Or you may look at that as a Democratic voter, maybe a more moderate voter, the few of those that actually exist, may look at that and think, hey, Oz is faking it. He isn't really this person. He's actually the old Oz who is in support of all of these things, and I rather back him than Fetterman. So it's almost better to stay away from Oz and let Oz sort of, you know, destroy his own campaign, as he already kind of has in several, you know, appearances on Fox News. So let him do his own thing while you separate yourself from the pack, and I think, or at least separate yourself in the eyes of the voters between these two. And I think that's what Fetterman is doing for this campaign. And so far, so good with these first two ads.
You want the person who's the better candidate to win. So if that means advertising on Fox News and going where most eyeballs are going to be, that's what you've got to do. So I think that buying ads in these particular markets in Pennsylvania is brilliant, because we know the attacks will be ongoing. And we know that Dr. Oz already has an advantage because of name recognition. But if John Fetterman can counter that and counter the attacks, it increases his chances. And these ads are incredible. It should appeal to even some of Fox News's viewers, assuming that their brain hasn't completely rotted by watching too much Fox News. But look, it's not like John Fetterman is the best candidate ever, right? There's areas where I have my disagreements with him. You know, I don't like his stance on Israel, Palestine, or fracking. But even with these things that I disagree with, if he were to be elected, he'd be one of the most progressive senators in the country. And that's not saying much, because I get that the bar is really low, but it's still better than most of the people already in the Senate. And he'll certainly be better than Dr. Oz, who's just going to go along with the GOP's agenda. I don't think he really has any authentic beliefs, or he even has a core political ideology. He's doing this because he's an opportunist, and maybe he's just bored being a TV doctor. I'm not necessarily sure. But either way, it's really important that John Fetterman does everything he can. And I think that so far he's off to a really great start. The one thing that worries me is that, you know, currently, if you look at generic polls, just Republican versus Democrat, Republicans have a massive leg up, and a lot of this stems from Biden's unpopularity. You know, it kind of trickles down. If the president is unpopular, then that usually affects the House and the Senate. So I hope that that doesn't necessarily hurt Fetterman. It's hard to say, but either way, right now, at least at the beginning of the general election campaign, he's doing everything that he should be doing. And this should absolutely scare the shit out of Dr. Oz. I'd be afraid if I were him.
I mean, his last concern, I mean, valid, but at the same time, I also feel like he comes off as the type of guy that's willing to call out even Biden's bullshit and the rest of Congress's bullshit, and say, you know, yo, no, we got this, that, and the other that we need to pass right now. Why are you holding us back? You know, I feel like he's a fighter. I feel like he's a fighter. So we're gonna keep a close eye on Fetterman's race, especially as it gets closer to the general, let alone probably on general election night. Yeah, really excited to see what happens. Let me see, can I get a website, please? As you can see right here, johnfetterman.com. If you want to look at his issues, email, sign up, donate, especially Pennsylvanians, any proletarians who live in Pennsylvania. Please do consider voting this guy in, because the whole bullshit, stupid as fuck, Trump inspired trend of TV celebrities, trying to get into office. Well, I guess technically Schwarzenegger might have started that off, Caitlyn Jenner after whatever, but yeah, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing, and we need people in office who understand the proletarian struggle, as Fetterman comes off to me as understanding. So sorry.